You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
It's likely that I would have not seen it and read it.
Yeah.
Did you like the kitty? Like, she's hiding it from other people, also from us. So
you know what's in there?
Is it the?
We just got an Amazon package and we're so excited.
We did. Did you already start?
We started now.
Well, I didn't know.
You just got back.
I didn't know if you started before I got back.
No, Stephanie ran outside to get the package because she's paranoid of porch pirates, package pirates.
Yes.
Pirate.
Even though that didn't
ports.
happen, and
That's a funny story.
And our ring-a-ling is working.
Anyways, it's an exciting day here at our house because we have a mouse.
We have a very intelligent mouse.
So last week, we're going to start the podcast with this fun story.
Are we going to talk about it?
Yeah. So last week, we discovered a mouse in the house. There was a cute little house mouse.
Here we are in the country.
A country mouse that decided to settle into our home and make himself very comfortable.
Yes. And we have made him very comfortable. Go ahead. Tell the story. I won't jump to it.
You're fine. So in lieu of trying to kill the mouse, we decided to try to humanely capture the mouse so that he could then be re-released into the wild. Or I guess released, not re-released.
Not re-released.
Hopefully just one
We're going to evict him, but compassionately.
So Craig gets a 5-gallon bucket and engineers a solution that he observed online that was going to magically catch the mouse. The first night the bucket was in place, there was peanut butter all over a pop can in the middle of the bucket on a spindle of sorts, aka an arrow that I retrofitted. And the mouse proceeded to just eat all the peanut butter off of the can.
It didn't work.
It didn't work the first time. I thought, oh, clever mouse.
Clever.
I'll get you this time. So I completely...
And your little dog, too.
I completely re-engineer the trap by getting rid of the pop can and putting in a old Powerade bottle that is much more streamlined and slippery. And then I just put peanut butter on one side of the bottle, to which the mouse ate all of that peanut butter. So then over the next course of several days, we tried different configurations.
Can I share a little bit of that?
Of course, yeah, because you took over.
Yeah, so after, and with zero success, but I took over to continue to feed our new house guest.
We have a roommate.
Eats all the goddamn peanut butter. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. So then we switched it to put peanut butter all over it instead of just hopefully it would because the idea is it falls in the bucket, right? And then I went in and checked it at one point and I was like, how did I not catch that? How did I pull the bottle all the way to the rim? How did I, why did I do that? How did I not catch that I did that? So clearly it was just on the rim and then could eat off the bottle because the bottle was all the way up against the edge of the bucket. So I scooted it back to the middle. And then the next day checked it again and the bottle was back against the edge. So he's somehow figured out how to move the arrow to the edge of the bucket. And I was like, all right, game on. And then you came up with the next idea, which was, and to just take the bottle off and just use the lid.
Yes, just
so
the
it's
cap.
just in the center so that it can, I even put peanuts on the peanut butter, thinking for sure he's going to get all the way out there and bloop, bloop, bloop. And anyway, so when it comes time to take the bottle off,
don't stop telling your story,
and replace it with just the lid of peanut butter, I take the bottle off, which has a lot of, the mouse is getting all fat and happy because there's so much peanut butter gone. But there's even little parts of it that has claw marks where where it almost worked. And then I noticed there's poop in the bucket.
Yes.
So is he sitting up there and pooping and eating, getting all fat and happy, or is it working? And he just jumps out of the bucket haha, suckers. So we changed it to just the lid in the center. And I checked on it again and the peanut butter was removed from just the lid in the very center. And I was like, all right, we got to try something else.
We should set up the GoPro. So then we could just observe.
Set up the GoPro
and watch his little ass walk out onto that.
I know, but it's good that we didn't.
That little tightrope that we've created for him to just have an acrobatic adventure
I
as he
would have
gets his peanut butter.
I would have bonded. So it's good that we didn't. So I didn't bond to this because, they're gross.
They are gross.
They're gross. I don't want to
Anyways,
yeah.
the cool
so what
thing
are we
is
doing?
now we have an official trap that's not retrofitted from shit in our garage. And it's one of those traps where he'll walk in after the peanut butter.
That he now knows is safe.
And
that was our plan.
The door will close behind him.
And he can just hang out, and then we'll take him for a little country ride in our country car and let him go in the country woods.
Are you planning on taking him away from the house?
So he doesn't come right back in, yes, where he knows all the peanut butter is.
Do you really think, like I'm being serious here.
Hold on. Before you criticize me, I want to ask you, did your methods work?
Fine. Do whatever you want with the mouse.
I'm gonna take the country mouse on a country ride and let him go away from our house. Where
That's a good idea.
Maybe I'll leave a little bit of peanut butter to get him, started with. A couple peanuts, be like, here you go, buddy. Good luck. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
So that's been our adventures. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to our mouse podcast, and we'll see you next week when. I don't know, right? Hopefully we get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, no, we have to, because we also don't trust anything anymore.
Right.
Like
yesterday I was walking down the hall and turns out it's just a string in the middle of the floor. But I had a moment of like, what the fuck? It's standing in front of me right now. It's staring me down because it's dark, right? I didn't turn on the light and I see the string and I just freeze. I'm like, is that the fucking mouse? I'm like, that doesn't look like a mouse. Is that just like some big conglomeration of mouse shit that's in the middle of the hallway?
Oh, get nauseous.
And then I turn on the light and it's a string.
That's a string?
Just a string. Just a harmless string in the middle. A little piece of thread.
I'm normally 5-second rule. Something hits the ground, depending on what it is. Something hits the ground, grab it. It's still good. It's still game. And now something hits the ground and all of us are like, oh, it's gross. It's contaminated. Like the ground feels contaminated.
That's the benefit of being here in the country.
Yes.
Of our move to Tennessee. Now we get the fun experience of one mouse. We're just going to have this one.
This is it. This is our one mouse experience. Now we are taking precautions.
Yeah.
And I have to try to not feed the squirrels because sometimes I get excited when I see the squirrels. I'm like, I don't want them. I don't want them.
Squirrel in the house. I know you're like,
if it's a squirrel in the house, I'm going to.
You saw that one TikTok where the squirrel jumps on the lady.
I also saw another TikTok where it was playing Pac-Man. And I can't remember what the squirrel's name is, but this guy is always, it's his a squirrel buddy.
That plays Pac-Man?
And this was just the last one, the latest one. And it's just sweet and he jumps and it'll come to him. And so many of them, they just feed them and they're their friends. And I want squirrel friends.
Do it.
Also,
wait till our insurance kicks in, though, so that we can go get the rabies shot.
Okay.
After that, then you can be friends with any wild animals that you choose.
Really? Mm-hmm. How many times will they give you rabies shots?
Right. They're like, do you have a pack of these we can just take with us?
How many times is it acceptable before they're like, you're just dumb and we're going to let you die?
My wife is not going to stop feeding these things. And they're 100% going to bite her again.
Oh, so. I don't want to get bit. I don't want to do that.
No, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Remember, just wait for the insurance.
It'll be like when you get bit by zombies. I'm just going to be hide it and hope nothing bad happens and not tell you till I'm
you'll just pretend. Baby, are you okay? I'm fine.
It's fine.
Are you sure? You look a little under the weather. I'm okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Then you start projectile vomiting. And then your head cranks to the left and your eyes slowly drop. And then you just start walking
she fed the squirrels. Ew, that made me afraid. I got a little afraid
You're afraid of your imaginary zombie self?
Yes. I have a very vivid imagination.
Yes, you do.
And that just played out and I got scared for you.
So we didn't have an episode last week because we took the week off.
We were mouse feeding.
We were mouse hunting.
I would say that, but we were really feeding. We were mouse feeding. We were mouse caretaking.
We were figuring out different ways to feed this mouse.
Right.
Turns out he'll take it anyway.
Right. He'll just he's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and thank you. Further thank yous.
I did want to talk a little bit about why we didn't have an episode last week.
Okay, let's get into it.
Because we've had we talk a lot lately about this move to Tennessee and everything about it. And I realized this week, because of last week, that eventually I'm going to get to and talk about, I have had like, in my head, I'm imagining, oh yeah, there's going to be a transition period where we're going to have to like go through the experience of everything that this move was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should probably take us a month or two. And now we're like 2 months into being here and living here. And I'm like, it's probably going to take a year or two.
Yeah, that's actually more accurate.
Before we actually get all the way through this process of like dealing with everything that comes up, right? Because I find myself riding all of these waves of like, man, I'm so happy and everything's great.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, just being like super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I'm not contributing at all to the move.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, okay, yeah. You're not contributing at all to the move.
But it's definitely a factor for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit that is being influenced and affected by that.
How often do you get like a what have we done, or is it just like a doom and gloom despair kind of thing?
I think it's just kind of a doom and gloom despair kind of thing where I'm just kind of like weighted down by the, I'm overwhelmed with the weight of this experience.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot.
It's
even though at times it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even time, like the majority of the time I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And like so many things are starting to really fall in line for us. And it's a really positive thing that we've done. And then it's just like, fuck. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It feels like what?
Like when you describe it that way, it's like, oh, we're still like swinging to extremes, but it feels like, oh, that is actually the ebb and flow. Like we're doing, like when I hear it reflected back, it's like, oh, that's pretty good, actually. Right. We're doing a good job. When I feel it, I'm like, ah. But hearing that, I'm like, that feels like not only accurate, expected, and healthy.
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, it's a little too extreme at times, but we're finding the balance.
Just riding the waves of it.
Yeah.
And I can witness, like, I see from the perspective of if I, like, having the realization that this is going to take, at a minimum a year.
A year.
If not longer.
We're putting
it's so
expiration date
like
on the
it was just
process.
It was a really refreshing reminder of how long healing takes. Right?
I love your perspective. A refreshing reminder.
Because how often?
God damn it.
How often is it like, well, I'm figured it out.
Yeah.
Check back next week when I've solved it all and I've moved on. It doesn't happen.
Right.
It not once ever happened.
No matter how hard you happy think your way through it.
It's never once happened.
I can do it. Positive. All I have to do is be positive.
Yeah. And then when we hold, like for me, when I hold that expectation in my mind of like, man, I should really be over this. We've been here for 2 months already. What the fuck?
What's my problem?
I shouldn't really be feeling the effects of this. Like, come on already. Just be here now.
I should be better. Right? I shouldn't be doing this. I should.
And I'm like, dude, it's going to take a while.
Right.
Relax. Like, settle in for the long haul here.
Right.
You're going to be processing this stuff for months.
Not only is it huge, but we decided, acted, and completed within just a couple of months. It happened fast.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We changed our life in a blink.
Yeah. August to December.
Yeah.
What is that? August, September, October, November, 5 months?
Okay. So like towards the mid-August, beginning of December. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we uprooted our entire lives, shed almost everything.
I kind of forget about that aspect of it.
And was like balls to the wall, like busy, going crazy, taking care of this. It was one thing after another, and there was obstacles. We were in like super active go mode. Like there was no slow, like we had to like move fast.
Oh yeah.
So very little processing. And then we had something really, really difficult to deal with that happened during this that we had to experience and process, but we didn't really get a process. We were like in the moment, and like that still needs to be processed. And then we had to keep things, like everything was a holding a breath. And where are we, how's it going? Like looking, searching, complete. And then we packed up and then just left and had to drive across country and hotels and Airbnbs. And we don't even have a house, to having a house and trying to figure out how to live in the new house. 5 months.
Now I'm feeling the weight of it.
Would you like me to? So yeah. So if we're kind of like,
I'm gonna take a nap now.
We need to, like, we achieved, and we definitely need to take
give
some
ourselves
breathers,
as much space and compassion as possible, huh?
Yeah. Maybe a little vomiting. I'm feeling that right now. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was so much. The emotional toll of how hard it was to not have our most important people with us. Like that, we went through so much. We're still going through so much.
Yeah.
And we're still seeing the effects and riding the waves of that. Like all of this is just like a completely new way to live.
Are you giving yourself a lot of that compassion? Or at least trying to, I suppose?
How about you?
I think I am.
You think you are?
Yeah. I mean, there's a part of me that, like in the last few weeks, I have really just given myself the space to feel however I'm feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm having an off day. That's okay. Just, throw caution to the wind, but I'm like, just burn it all down.
Bottoms up, bitches.
No, but like I'm allowing myself to be sad and depressed without any judgment and without any expectation. Where if it lasts a day, it lasts a day. If it lasts a week, it lasts a week. And fully aware of like, I'm not going to be at my best. I'm not going to be able to fully show up for like you, for myself, for our son, for like all these different aspects of things that we're trying to cultivate and build and grow. All of those things are just going to kind of not get all of me because right now I'm sad or I'm depressed. And so I've been really compassionate in regards to that. And I now have the added association of like, oh, this probably has something to do with the move. And so then it's just more, because like literally the way that you just outlined how quickly and how intensely and how like, that's so us too.
Right.
That is so,
of course, that's how we're going to do it.
Me and you, that it's like, could you imagine if we took a year and like, oh my God.
Oh, if we took our time,
there's no way that we could do that.
I think we could. I just think we
Think
don't.
About it. We can't.
We could.
Not the way that we work.
We could. We just are choosing to keep doing it the chaotic way.
We're not choosing to do. I don't think it's the chaotic way. I think it's the ADD way. I think it's the way that like right now we have a to-do list of things that we need to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Shit ain't getting done till like the last exact minute that it needs to be done.
That's like in
like right now, if we decide, hey, we're going to move in December of 2023, so we've got,
I think Asher will like
9 months, right?
Have us
so
committed.
We've got all the time to plan,
right?
We'd be like, cool, we're going to get started about November 15th.
If we decided we were moving December of 20, that only gives us like a few months to do our thing. We're like only a few months away from the chaotic process.
Right. So we did it the way that we did it.
We did it the way we did it. Yeah. Well, that is the way that we work. That's definitely the way I work.
Yeah.
It takes me to a point of, it feels like, oh my gosh, that is so you have this like executive dysfunction thing. And it takes me almost, because there's so much going on that through what it's been, it doesn't mean it is now, but so much going on that I don't have time to cater to the things that aren't on the fire list. They're like, it's there's no more time. It's the priority. We're out of time. So those are always what I was checking off, is the things that we're about to, that I had to take care of. And there was so much going on that like getting ahead wasn't a thing. It was just fire after fire after fire. 'Cause anxiety, chaos, thriving in chaos, all of those ways. But when things when things aren't boom, 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 super, and there's downtime, I still can't like get to it until it's go time.
And so do you think that is the like executive dysfunction neurodivergent thing? Or do you think it's more of the trauma? I can't be like, if I'm not in chaos, then I'm frozen catatonic in this like zoned out place.
Pick one. Pick one, pick both, throw the dice. It doesn't matter what you guess. You're right.
Right.
Yes, and yes, and yes. So same with you?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay. Woo.
Mine's definitely just because of coffee. Like if I just stopped drinking coffee, I'm sure I could get things done. I've been thinking too about this idea of, because this has come up for us where, actually back to what I was going to say about like last weekend, why we didn't release an episode.
Oh yeah. See, we're already past it.
We found ourselves in the midst of a blackout. There was a power outage on the day that we were going to record. And it didn't quite, like, we could have probably recorded in the morning and then been fine. But anyways, the power goes out for like 4 hours and we're just left home by ourselves because our son's out doing stuff. So we're chilling on the couch and we just start connecting and getting like into just some beautiful connection with each other, which then just created like almost this really open space of, truthfully just vulnerable connection with each other. And then I was like, I don't want to do anything.
Right?
I don't want to do anything other than just kind of be in this cool vibe that we had. And it lasted all weekend.
Right?
So it was like,
it was so nice.
It was so nice. And I've been thinking about it since, because it's kind of what we're talking about right now, where we have a hard time. Like if the waters are calm and everything's chill and everything's okay, you and I both struggle in that space.
Yeah.
And I think that we like should start bringing awareness to it more and really start practicing just being in those calm waters. Because otherwise, what's the point, right? I don't want to spend all of this time and energy and effort that we've spent on healing so that we can just keep being chaotic. Right. Like the whole purpose is to get to these moments where it's like, oh, we're safe.
We're safe.
And we're in love. And our relationship is secure. And everything is okay. Yeah. And then we can just breathe. And maybe we should come up with, like, this is honestly, I'm not just saying this for like the sake of our podcast, but are you telling me to hurry up?
No, I mean, that might have been my body language. Maybe I'm like, say the thing.
You're like, come on already, fucking hurry up. I'm trying to speed this ship up.
I know. You're like, let's calm it down. I'm like, man.
Let's come up with something that we can do so that we can kind of, in a loving way, say, hey, I think you are cycling in some chaos right now.
Yeah.
I think you're starting to fire up the chaos wagon and going out to collect some chaos. Do you know what I mean?
Looks like you're getting ready to start some shit. Are you starting some shit?
Because we both do it. We're suddenly like our day is calm, super chill. Like we're in this really good flow right now of doing yoga and meditating, and like we're finally in this place where we're starting to incorporate a bunch of healthy self-love kind of things, and then we both have moments where we're tapping into that chaos, and then it's starting to spiral us out. So what's a loving thing that we could say to one another?
Well, before we get to that, I want to like cycle it back to what was coming up when you were talking before. Because like a whole bunch was coming up that I wanted to, first of all, you like asked questions that I didn't get a chance to answer. And,
did I?
In my brain you did.
Okay.
I heard it.
I'm not saying I didn't.
I'm not saying you did. I'm saying I think you did. I heard you did. Whether you did, I don't know.
Let us know. Send us a message.
Anyways, but this like all fits in with exactly what my writings were this morning too.
Oh.
So it's cool. So I'm gonna before I get to the question, which was like, are you allowing yourself time to do this? And I flipped it back to you because that's why. Okay. So I'm like, oh. But because you do that too, you flip it to me. Anyways, my point was, you're like, yes, you're allowing yourself to be sad. You're allowing yourself the time to feel sad and like not expect a lot from yourself, and that be okay. What, like I've got a whole bunch to go off of here, and it's so hard. I'm like, I want to rattle off the whole list so it all comes out, but then we're going to miss it. So we're just going to have to take your time and keep circling back. That's why I got notes. My question was, how about happy? Like when you're happy, are you allowing yourself to be happy? Are you allowing yourself to be energized and charged?
Totally.
How do you allow yourself to be happy?
So I'm like recognizing it. I recognize when I wake up in the morning sometimes, because my routine and my practice right now is I wake up and diligently I journal immediately. Like it's the very first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning before I do anything else. And like, is that 100%? I'm journaling every day, but sometimes like, we wake up late or, sometimes I have to do some other minor thing, but I'm not really getting my day started until after I've done that journaling. And I'm coming up on almost a year of that. And I'm excited. Like I'm excited that I've been disciplined and have shown up for myself in that way. And when I do that journaling process, one of the things that's kind of happening in the background, kind of subconsciously, is I'm having awareness of my emotional state. I don't necessarily always write about what I'm feeling, right, emotionally. Sometimes I do, but I'm also just kind of aware of how I've awoken. And like yesterday, for example, I just woke up feeling good.
We got some sleep.
Yeah, that helped.
That was like, that's never like, that is the most sleep I think either of us have ever gotten in our lives.
Like 10 or 11 hours of sleep and like one solid stretch too.
Yeah.
So I woke up feeling really good and I had awareness of that. And then like throughout the day, I just continually, I'm like, man, I feel good. Like I have awareness of how my body feels and how my mood is. And I'm like, it's like literally all the things of like, I can see colors differently. I'm, more excited to, let's go see what's outside when I walk to get the mail. Like I'm in a good mood. And then same thing, I have awareness of when I'm not. And that's where like the compassion and the love comes in for both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am.
That's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah.
I think that part gets skipped a lot.
Recognizing the happy.
Yeah. And like not only recognizing the happy, but feeling not only allowed to be happy. That's one to unpack. Yeah. But feeling safe in the happy, that doesn't mean that something bad is coming and that you have to prepare. Oh, hello, phone. Okay, phone, confirm that. The message was, I love my body and trust in its wisdom. Let's share that for an affirmation to anyone.
Did you have another question?
Am I going too slow for you?
No. I was trying to help. I didn't want you to forget because you said you had a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I have notes.
Okay.
I don't know if I can circle back effectively now because while I do have notes, I can just speak to that, but to like reiterate the question to connect the dots. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that as much, but I will try. I think it was like, am I giving myself awareness or like understanding in those moments or like really like how hard it's been? So I don't know how you worded it, but it was along the lines of what we talked about yesterday. And I'll just like recap that conversation because I feel like it's very fitting in the chaos mind. For me, it has been an awareness of the difference between crashing and charging and how I used to be in the chaos and very, very like, an eyelash just went on my, unable to like go about anything healthy. It was just like literally that, like I was saying, like that one fire after the next, after the next, after the next. And when there wasn't fires, not being able to like take that time to, I don't know, make healthy choices. It was a complete crash. It was a complete crash to where Like there was nothing I could give, nothing I could do. I was just like tanked out until something was mandatory for me to do, which was met with like resentment and exhaustion and not wanting to, just because I was still so tired because I was crashing and not able to do anything. But my ego brain was telling myself, you're not doing anything. You're lazy. You should have energy because you're not doing anything. But it was so exhausting because it was like I completely burnt out. And then in that crash, I was belittling myself continuously for crashing, for having a human limit, and constantly on the list of what I need to do and what I need to take care of and all the things that I'm not taking care of. So there was no rest in my resting. It was just a crash. So I was always pouring from like what you say, from an empty cup, but I somehow could still find something to pour, right? And the difference that has happened since here is I am like still in those states that mimic, right? We get stuff done and then I don't do anything. And sometimes it's really hard and I'm like feeling a lot of feelings and depression. And then sometimes I'm like really happy and motivated and excited. And like that to me is the difference. That's how I recognize the difference between crashing or charging. Because now when my down times are coming in, I'm allowing it down. I'm not belittling myself for being down, or even just not wanting to is enough of a reason. I don't have to like get to where I can't in order to be justified. I can be like, I don't want to do this right now. And that is enough. So that when I'm taking these times, I am in fact charging, and then I'm getting creative. I'm coming up with ideas. I'm doing things, even if it's not like showing out for the world, I'm getting creative for me. I'm like cultivating my space, my inner connections. I'm starting to like find these little things that are me and finding my joy. Like I'm getting joy back. I'm finding like the connection with the things that I like. Like I'm really like, I'm plugging into me, and I'm finding ways to show up in the ways that like are like so many. I'm different. Like, even if somebody else, like you're saying, yeah, so you see it. I was going to say, like, even if nobody else sees it, like I see it, I get happy, and I'm just in the state of like happy and motivated and charged. Now, when I find energy to do stuff, it's not a reactive from a place of chaos and I'll get it done and feeling like I'm in opposition. It's like, hey, let's do this. I'm excited. I'm feeling things. And then when I'm down, I'm down. And when I'm tired, I'm tired. So I'm not crashing, I'm charging. And allowing, like the writing today was not to hit like fast forward when I'm on the happy, and not to like scoot past it, but like to milk it for all it's worth, because I'm afraid of the crash. You know, so when I'm happy and I have like all of this energy that's coming up, to be like, yeah, it's cool. Like it's going to pass, and it's like the next step will pass too. Like I can just like, I don't have to rush through it and like burn through my fuel. I can just be a steady flow of energy without the panic, chaos, rushing. So all of this like chaos that we're speaking to, I am like leveling out in the chaos. But there's like also a part of the ego that comes in, and I think yours does as well, because I see this in you. What I'm describing, I also see like reflecting back at me from you. But we have convinced ourselves, like here's some shadow for us. We have convinced ourselves for so long that that's who we are. We're chaotic, crazy people that are always in that rush, and here we go. And so anytime we do something, like we were totally caught up in the beginning of the podcast with that same thing. I'm like, yeah, crazy. I don't think we can we? But that's just a story. Like we're not doing it that way.
Yeah.
But anytime something like mimics that behavior, we're like, look at us being chaotic and crazy. It's like, no, maybe, but is it crashing or is it charging? Is it chaos? Is it like momentum? Is it not being frozen? So now we're like, oh, look at you moving, chaos. And both, right? There's room for it to be like, sometimes it's chaotic. Sometimes it's a crash. But it's not all the time. In fact, it's not even most times anymore. But our brain's still like, you're still there. Like, no, it's not.
I think this is like what's coming up for me as you're talking about all of this and as we're kind of going over this. I think this is like a level of it sounds to me like this is a level of healing that doesn't get talked about very much because it's like we're not think about it from this way, babe. Like all the self-work that we've done, like healing, when you really start to go into it and you really start to like commit yourself to this idea that you're going to heal from trauma, right? It becomes like a grind almost where you're constantly in it. You're constantly working. You're constantly looking at, you're constantly like you're in the work process of healing, right? All the time. We're consuming media. We're watching documentaries. We're listening to podcasts. We're reading books. We're having conversations. We're analyzing our emotions. We're going to therapy. We're constantly working the process because that feels like how I'm going to get out of this chaos. That feels like how I'm going to finally become the version that I am. Like that is like for me, I guess, and maybe others can resonate, but that feels like how I get out of it.
Right.
You have to
go through it.
I have to go through it and I have to learn and I have to educate myself. And then I have to start to take that information that went in through my brain and let it resonate and marinate and soak down into my body and then experience it actually in my life. And it just becomes like the more you start to heal, the more you can start to see the changes that are happening and they're like super subtle and you can just start to feel better. But then it's almost like I want more of that. And the way that I get more of that is more consumption, more learning, more deep diving, more exploration, more shadow, more therapy. Like give me more and more and more. So I seek more and more and more because I'm healing. And then it feels like what we're talking about is there comes a point where like at some point you have to sit in it.
Yeah.
Like at some point you have to appreciate our life is so different than when we got married. You know, this year will be, 8 years? And we've been together for over 10. And it's like in the span of that decade, we have changed significantly, not just individually who we are as people, but as our relationship and just like the outlook that we have in regards to life. Like we do not look at life the same way that we did 10 years ago when we met.
Yeah.
And now we just have to be able to sit in that I think without so much of that like push and drive to heal and learn and consume and like work the meal of healing.
Right.
Because I mean, like the reality is it's always going to be work. We know that. And I'm okay with that. But there's also like a level of that work that this is part of that. Like part of the work becomes just being able to settle and relax and be present with the happiness that you're actually experiencing. Where we don't have to look for something deeper here. We don't have to explore and figure out the subconscious programming of what is this and what, I mean, of course we can continue to do that, but then I think we also have to give ourselves the space to just be okay with this place that we're in now. And I'm not just talking about our new place in Tennessee, like where we're at with our healing. Like, yes, there's more. I know that. I'm aware of that. I can feel it. Like we're constantly learning more all the time. And let's relax and enjoy what we have fucking accomplished, you know? Like this is deserving of our attention as well, not just all the shit that we still have to kind of continually work on, because we've accomplished a massive thing. We have healed a lot of trauma. What do you think? How does that resonate with you?
That's like amazing. Like that's so accurate. I'm so happy you said all that. That is the point.
Right.
That is the point. It's not like you come at some point, you start to, start to appreciate it and see it. It's like there's always, like, it's normal to swing from one end of the spectrum to the other. And we have a lot of experience in the positive mindset, in the happy thoughts, the affirmations, the good energy, and to keep things positive and uplifted and the upwards vibration. We have a lot of experience there, which is also not leaving room for the depth, which is not leaving room for, you know, we get the light, we didn't leave room for the shadow, even though the shadow was like, you leave room for me or not, I'm here. And then it shifted and we're like, oh, we cannot like bypass these feelings, these emotions. There's more than just happy thoughts your way out of it. There's so much. And with all the extreme trauma that we have experienced, of course we wanted to stay in the light for a while. Of course. Like, as soon as you get some relief, why would you not? Like, that's a life raft for a while until it turns into the very thing that sinks you, which maybe that's the pattern. So you get to the shadow. And so then you dive in and you're finding like, oh, this is real healing. And it is lasting healing.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I feel better for a minute and then it's not a Band-Aid.
That's the significant difference between like the last 10 or 15 years, like last 20 years of my life. Mm-hmm. Like in some way I have been trying to heal for a long time.
We all are.
And everything has felt like a temporary solution before the crazy train came back. And it was so temporary. It was so like the minuscule amount of like, oh, I feel better for just a second. And the next thing you know, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And this is lasting.
This is lasting.
Like this is impact that is, this is change that is actually like here tomorrow.
Right? We are seeing the benefits. Our life is changing. Like all of the things that, the ways that we wanted it to go, the ways that we wanted our life to change, the healing that we wanted is happening. And the beautifulness of that is that it's uncovering the deeper layers. So there is always healing. And because we're recognizing the lasting healing, that's how you swing to the opposite end. You get out of the light and you're completely immersed in the shadow, because the lasting healing, you see the benefits, the healing, that becomes the discipline, because of course we're craving that healing. But as much as it's not healthy to always be in the light, because like the term that we know is the spiritual gaslighting, the bypassing of all the shadow, it's not healthy to always be in the shadow. The shadow is always there. So is the light. So to get to the point of where you're like, if we can bring that point instead of getting to the point, if we can move that line of getting to the point where you get to sit in it and see the benefits and see the way that your life is changing and the healing that is taking place, is such a big deal. Like there's a whole like middle ground. There's a whole like light and dark dancing. There's there's a whole area that gets missed, which is actually like the goal. Like, so if there is a goal, there's not, like, whatever, but that's where you have breath. That's where you have movement. That's where you have the calmness and the joy, and you feel complete in yourself is in that. So we get to take what we have from the light, which is so amazing. And then we get to take what we have from the shadow and blend them as it is. There's, you know, like, I feel like you could give us a million Star Wars references here in the light and the dark. But, so like, that's the point. And that's like what I'm getting is like, this is like, we get to, it's like when we're showing up with other people, we're not keeping them in the shit. And we're not keeping them in the light. It's like there's this balance. There's this thing that both come in that we get from all of our experiences, and we benefit from that and being in the both. So it's like slowing down in the happy. Slowing down in the happy is something that is just happening, that I'm just like, oh.
That's what we're doing.
Right? Because I thought happy meant fast. Happy meant good. Happy meant motivated. Happy like, happy. Let's go. It's going to pass. And it's like, yeah, it is. but I don't have to rush through this. I get to actually enjoy the happy.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to enjoy this. This was good.
Like,
I don't need to rush past
I'm really
it.
grateful that we've started, like that we've talked about this, because putting it into words and kind of articulating it is really making me appreciate not only what we've done, but also the reality of what this is and what this feels like.
Yeah.
And it really feels like, as we've talked about it more and more, it's like this is us coming out of that survival state.
Yeah.
Because like when you think about, I'm thinking about like the healing that has taken place, and that aspect I was talking about just a minute ago, where it's constantly searching more and more and more because you're healing more and more, and you're seeing. So it's like this game of consume, 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 heal, 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 consume, whatever that looks like. And that's like running. I'm expending energy to get out of the space that I'm in, to get towards this new space that I'm in, or that I want to be in. And that itself is like an activated state, right? That's the fight or flight. That's the fleeing from the chaos. It just feels differently because you're actively doing something rather than just like, when I think of fleeing, I think of like running completely, like unabashedly through the woods, escaping whatever is chasing me. But what the healing process, at least for us, I think has looked like, is that fleeing, but doing it in a conscious way. It feels the same is what I'm trying to get at. Where
it's like direction.
It feels like direction, but it also feels chaos.
Yeah.
Like it feels stressful. There's a certain amount of like activation that is held within my body in that healing process where I'm trying to get away from, and not in an avoidance like ignorance, I'm going to forget about it, but I'm recognizing that I am healing from the trauma of my life. And that, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of articulating this because it's all kind of forming in my head as I'm talking, but that that type of energy feels the same, almost like it's almost the same nuanced feeling underneath that just running in chaos feels like when your life is just one shit show crazy train after another. It kind of feels the same, except you're trying to control it. Like I'm trying to, give it structure now instead of just letting the fast train run off the tracks. And what's happening now is we aren't in that fight or flight. Like we are finally in a safe place where we can just settle and we don't have to run. And there isn't this, like, yeah, I'm excited to learn whatever the next thing is that's going to, like right now I'm really getting some refresher courses on ego and connection and, attachment styles. And I'm getting a lot of more information from that kind of learning, but it doesn't feel so rushed. I don't feel like I have to absorb it all right now to get out of this place that I'm in. And it's okay to just kind of settle and be happy. It's crazy.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Can you think back in your life?
You're going to make me cry? You're going to make me cry.
I just have a
You
question.
don't make me cry. I might cry.
It's okay if you cry.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can I think back?
In your life and where change, the direction, motivation, however, change period wasn't because of something chaotic happening.
Like a moment or can I think of, like, are you asking, can I think of a time when change wasn't chaotic?
When a big change came along and it wasn't from...
No.
So it would be safe to say that the only association with change in any kind of movement is a direct result of the only cause of chaos.
Yeah.
So that it might feel the same, because that's the only connection that you have at the moment of, even though it's might not be chaos, it can be choice and direction.
Yeah.
But the only association you have, so the program that your body says is, oh, chaos. So it feels like a fleeing, a chaos, because it's always meant that. So it's, how could it be anything different?
Yeah. Yes, I can see that.
Possible that it's not that.
Right? That change can take place outside of chaos.
Outside of chaos. Change can be a choice and a wonderful thing.
A positive thing.
A positive thing. Due to healing and calmness in yourself and a trust in yourself. And you made a big change from a place of healing.
Yeah.
I have to play with that one for a little while longer.
Maybe.
Yeah. I can feel the which is okay. That's a hard one. It's like, nope, this is what change means. This is where we're at. Change is scary. Change is because even if I was in the driver's seat and I am now no longer frozen, it was chaos, chaos, chaos. And I can point all the ways that it was chaos. But I could reframe that and be like, these are all the ways that you were healed. These are all the ways that you said no more and made a change from a healed place. From a safe place. From a choice, not a chaotic crumbling where change was forced. It was a choice. It wasn't forced.
It's true.
Yeah, that was all choice.
Yeah.
And it's okay if we had to embody our fleeing powers in order to figure out how to do something that we've never done before and nobody has showed us how to do. Yeah. It's okay if we need to rest a little bit after all that.
Take a nap.
Right?
It's good stuff, babe. I think I'm going to have to re-listen to this because what we've just talked about, I don't know if I can fully grasp and understand. It feels like something that makes a lot of sense, but yeah, I can't really understand it.
Yeah.
Like somebody just explained, like black holes to me. And I'm like, yes. What the fucking guy was talking about. Did anybody else pick up what that was? Yeah, black holes, right?
I get it. But what? I get that completely.
Okay. I think I know what he was saying. I understood the word black and hole.
Shameless plug here. Well, good thing you can listen to this wherever you find podcasts. You can even watch it on YouTube.
You're a dork.
Dorkable.
Okay. Let's go on to this week's not this week's episode. This week's question.
Here we go.
Every episode we answer a question.
Yes.
And you can submit those questions. You can email them to us at info@energyislove.love and or just message us on any social media platform where you can find us. But you can submit your questions and we'll answer them on the podcast. And this week's question is...
Go ahead, Craig, read it.
I'm interested in shadow work, but I don't know where to start. Where's a good place to start? Somebody who's interested and curious, but they don't know where to start.
I like the word curious.
Right?
I think that's the start. Get curious. Question everything.
When you say question everything, what do you mean?
I mean, like every action, every thought, everything that comes into space, every belief that you have, every agreement that you've made, and you're going to not have awareness of all of these beliefs and agreements that were made for you that you have then continued to buy into because they are just how you move, how you are, how you experience life, how you take in information and respond to it. So you get curious about your reactions, what comes up in you. If somebody brings something up in you, you have a reaction towards somebody, without judging it, just get curious why. Just asking why. When you behave a certain way, good or bad, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's no judgment on it. Just ask why. Like, where did that come from? Like somebody, honks at you in traffic, or you think they're honking at you. Why? Why did I think they were honking at me? Was it me? Why do I think it's about me? Why do I think it has nothing to do with me? And then like what came up? Were you just like, oh, I'll watch where I'm going? Or were you like, how dare you? Like just see your reactions to it. Why am I angry? But like allowing answers to come up and then questioning those. Like, why did somebody honking at me make me angry? Like, and then you would have an answer of, because I felt rushed, because I felt like they were taking out their aggression on me. Why? Why does it feel like they were taking out their aggression on me? Because when I was growing up, that any kind of outward aggression came out was directed at me. So I felt like it was always my fault. Now I jumped right to the inner child here, but that was like just how my brain worked on that. So anything that comes up, you're asking yourself why, and then you're letting yourself answer, and then you're questioning that. When you tell your kids or your coworkers or your spouse that this is an action that you expect of them, like this has to be done. Why? When you have like the way that you like things, you're allowed to like things. You're not like, you don't have to like let go of all that. But I'm just saying, like, why? Why does the silverware go in this drawer? Why does it have to go in this drawer? Why do the towels have to be folded this way? Why does your hair have to look a certain way? Why does hair not matter? Just like all of these different things that you can keep diving into. It's just like everything. So think of like a child, right? So think of the toddlers when they get into that why phase, when they are questioning everything. And just like get to that space. And also, do you even allow yourself to question? There's like asking why scary. Do you feel like you're not allowed to ask why? Why? Like allow your space. Just like tell yourself, I get to ask why. I get to have questions. I get to be curious. I get to find out what this means to me and what it feels like for me and what is the truth beyond it. So long answer, why? Question why for everything is the first start.
I think it's a great first start.
Yeah.
I think it's super important. And I think it's going to be like really beneficial along the journey of diving into your shadow. What comes up for me when I think about it, like shadow work in general, it's the idea of it at its core is basically there's parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at and that we don't want to deal with. And not only do we hide those parts from the outside world, but we also hide them oftentimes from ourselves. So the entry point of just getting really curious and asking yourself why about your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your experiences, the day-to-day stuff that you just got done breaking down leads into, because eventually you're going to start drawing connections and correlations to childhood. Like, that's just where it goes. I mean, eventually you're going to get to the point where I do this because of that. And then once you start get like comfortable in that questioning, curious kind of energy and space, the next thing is to ask yourself, what do you not want to look at? What part of you do you not want people to see? What aspect of your personality, your thoughts, your feelings, maybe there's an experience, like everybody has. I mean, this is kind of like the easiest way to think of it, and this is also a good practice. You can just think back over the course of your life, and you don't have to go super deep here in the beginning stages of it, but you can just think back over the course of your life and see it in a very linear fashion from like the earliest memories that you have all the way up until today. And along that timeline, there's going to be things that pop up that are things that you're not proud of, things that you have shame about. There are experiences that maybe, like I'll give you an example of one for me, and it's an easy example that I'm comfortable sharing because it's not like super deep and emotional, but I remember pushing a girl down the stairs when I was in elementary school. Like straight up shoved her down some cement stairs, and she tumbled down the stairs and scraped up her knees and everything like that. I have shame over that experience. Like I can remember it, not super vividly, but I can remember doing that. And then I remember feeling bad about that. And then I just have always kind of felt bad about that thing that I did. So that's an example of something that happened in my life that I carry shame over, that I'm not like super excited to think about, feel, and or talk about. And that is the entry into learning about what you're actually avoiding dealing with, because that's just like the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be some really deep-seated stuff in there that starts to come out. But by building that curiosity in the beginning and getting comfortable with kind of questioning why, it's going to give you that foundation to be able to start looking into it deeper and deeper and deeper. And of course, like we always say, right? Like, get help. You need help.
Yeah.
Your shadow is one of those things that is slippery and hard to look at. And that's why it's so important to have somebody help you with it, whether that's a therapist or coaches or your best friend. Maybe it doesn't matter, it's your partner. You need help to go into it and to be able to see it clearer and clearer and clearer. Otherwise, it's always going to kind of like be your shadow. It's going to get really good at
elude you.
Yeah, it's good at hiding from you. And when you start trying to look at it, it's going to keep hiding and throw up a bunch of distractions. So yeah, I think those are good entry points.
I think so too.
Anything else for you that comes up when you think of that question?
I think we can go deep into this, and I think we'll just say like, reach out. Let's work together.
There you go.
Like we have a community coming up that you can find a safe space to dive into this.
Yeah, it's important. It's a big part of our healing, and I think it's a big part of healing in general. And shadow work is just a label, right? There's a lot of different ways to kind of look at it and break it down. But eventually at some point along your journey, you have to deal with the stuff that you don't want to deal with. Otherwise, it's just always going to be there.
I remember, like, it doesn't also, like, it's not just the depths of, like, hell that you're digging into. Like, the shadow cannot exist without light, or else you wouldn't be able to see the shadow. So you get to, like, come up for air, and you get to find the joy and actually, like, feel the benefits of doing the shadow work. The shadow cannot exist without the light. So you get to bring them both together.
Beautiful, babe.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast this week. Be sure to go to energyisLove.love and sign up for our newsletter so you can be the first to know about our online community that's coming in April. Also, share this podcast with somebody. That's like so beneficial and so helpful for the podcast. You can not only share it, like do that, of course.
You can.
And then wherever you listen, just take a minute, 30 seconds to subscribe and then leave a review. Like if you dig the podcast, leave us a 5-star review, and that's going to help. Like that's so beneficial, and we would be deeply grateful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. And in the meantime, just go out and have a beautiful, wonderful day.
If you can't leave a review, if it feels like, oh, just keep listening. It's okay. We still love you. We're so grateful.